Welcome everyone. Before we dive in, be sure to drop your thoughts, feelings, and lessons in the comments below. Like the video and subscribe so you never miss stories like this. Let's get into it. Olivia looked me dead in the face, in the middle of our kitchen in Atlanta, and said, "You were never man enough for me anyway." Then she kissed another man on our front porch while I was still holding the grocery bags I'd paid for. And before the ice cream melted, she had emptied our joint account and told me I could sleep wherever real men sleep when they get left. Here's how it happened. If pain had a sound, it would have been the soft thud of frozen peas hitting the floor while your wife stood there smiling like she'd finally won something she'd been competing for in secret. My name is John, and for most of my marriage I thought love meant endurance. I was the man who worked overtime, changed brake pads and church clothes, and could stretch one rotisserie chicken into 4 meals and a joke. Olivia used to laugh at that joke too. We were black, southern, proud, and loud in the best ways back then. We met at a Juneteenth block party on the west side, where she roasted my dancing so hard I laughed soda through my nose. I should have known then that any woman who could embarrass me and still make me want her had dangerous levels of power. Olivia was beautiful in a way that made whole rooms reorganize themselves. Men straightened up when she walked in. Women looked twice, not from jealousy exactly, but because she carried herself like she knew the price of everything. She had that honey brown skin, quick smile, and eyes that made promises her mouth wasn't always prepared to keep. I was less dramatic, more steady. I worked logistics for a regional supply company and liked routines, receipts, and Sunday naps. Somehow, we fit. She called me calming. I called her fire. Together, we looked like one of those couples people swear are going to make it because the chemistry is so obvious. Our beginning had romance all over it. The ordinary kind that sneaks up on you and feels expensive even when you're broke. We took late-night drives through Atlanta with the windows down and argued about whether Outkast had the best road trip songs. We split lemon pepper wings in a parked car because neither of us wanted the date to end. Once, rain trapped us under the awning of a laundromat, and Olivia slow danced with me while somebody inside folded towels and stared like we'd lost our minds. Back then, I thought love was simple. Find the person who makes ugly places feel beautiful and stay loyal. The funny thing is, we were ridiculous together in ways that felt holy. Olivia could not cook rice to save her life. I mean that literally. She once burned boiling bag rice and tried to blame aggressive heat. I laughed so hard I slid down the cabinet and had to catch my breath. She threw a dish towel at me and kissed me while I was still wheezing. Another time she tried to assemble an IKEA shelf without instructions and built something shaped like regret. We ate takeout on the floor and named that crooked shelf Malcolm because, according to Olivia, it was trying its best under pressure. We got married in DeKalb County courthouse clothes that didn't cost much but meant everything. Her dress was simple and cream-colored. My suit fit like I had borrowed confidence from a better man. Afterward, we celebrated with our families at a soul food place where her aunt cried into candied yams and my cousin Terrence toasted us with sweet tea like he was accepting an Oscar. Olivia squeezed my hand under the table so hard it hurt, and I remember loving even that. We talked about buying a house one day, maybe having kids, maybe opening a small business. Our dreams weren't fancy. They just felt real enough to touch. The first crack didn't sound like cheating. It sounded like comparison. Olivia started measuring me against men I didn't know. Men with bigger houses, louder trucks, sharper watches, easier confidence. She'd come home from brunch with her friends and say things like, "Some men just have that provider energy," while I stood there washing dishes from a meal I had cooked after a 10-hour shift. At first I laughed it off. Then I started staying late at work, volunteering for weekend routes, telling myself sacrifice was temporary. I didn't see that I was feeding a hunger in her that had nothing to do with bills and everything to do with performance. By year 3, I was exhausted in a way that made every room feel one size too small. My father got sick in Macon, and I started driving down twice a month to help my mother. Work cut bonuses. Our landlord raised the rent. Olivia didn't hold me when I came home worried. She critiqued my worrying. She said stress made me look older. She said I needed to stop moving like a defeatist. I kept trying to win back a softness she had started hiding from me. Love had turned into a test I didn't know I was taking, and every answer I gave somehow came back marked wrong. Her mother, Miss Denise, made everything worse with the grace of a woman who had been practicing cruelty for decades. She wore church hats and insults with equal elegance. At Sunday dinners in Decatur, she would look over my plate and ask whether I planned to upgrade careers before Olivia wasted her best years. Once, right in front of everybody, she said, "A woman can't respect a man she has to outdream." The whole table got quiet except Olivia, who smirked into her glass like the line deserved framing. I laughed politely, but it landed deep. There's a special loneliness in being mocked by people who call you family. I kept trying anyway. That's the embarrassing part. I was in love with the woman Olivia used to be, and I kept mistaking memory for evidence. I picked up side work on evenings and weekends. I fixed our leaking sink, repainted the bedroom, started a certificate program online, and still found ways to bring home her favorite cupcakes from a bakery near Midtown. I thought effort spoke for itself. I thought consistency eventually softened hard hearts. Instead, Olivia treated devotion like background noise. She posted smiling pictures online, accepted compliments about our beautiful life, then turned around in private and acted like my love was a coupon she'd forgotten to use before expiration. The cheating announced itself in details too small to accuse. Olivia started guarding her phone like it contained state secrets. She changed her perfume, then claimed the old one gave her headaches. Her laugh got different, lighter and meaner, like she was spending the best parts of herself somewhere else and bringing me leftovers. She suddenly had networking dinners and women's nights that somehow required full makeup and shoes she couldn't walk in. I noticed one Friday that she had shaved, moisturized, and put on expensive laundry under a hoodie to go help a coworker move. A man can ignore a lot. A fool can ignore even more. The first hard proof came from a gas station receipt. That sounds small, but marriage is built and broken on small things. I found it in the cup holder of her car while looking for a charger. 2 drinks, condoms, and a timestamp from a side of town she had no reason to be in. I stared at that flimsy paper like it might explain itself if I held it long enough. When she came home, I didn't confront her. I watched her kiss my cheek and ask whether I wanted catfish for dinner. It scared me how easily she lied. That's when suspicion turned into grief. People think betrayal explodes. Sometimes it drips. For weeks I gathered things I never wanted to know. A saved number under a woman's fake name. Hotel confirmations sent to her work email. My friend Danelle going quiet when I mentioned a man named Marcus from her office. I asked him directly one night outside the barbershop on Cascade Road, and he looked at the pavement so long I knew. Danelle finally admitted he'd seen Olivia and Marcus together more than once. I didn't know how to tell you. Man, he said. I wanted to hit him, hug him, and disappear all at once. I settled for going numb. I confronted Olivia on a Tuesday because I wanted the ordinary cruelty of a weekday, not the dramatic theatrics of a weekend. I laid the receipt, screenshots, and printed hotel email on the kitchen table like evidence in a trial where only one person was surprised. She didn't cry, didn't deny, didn't even pretend to respect me enough to panic. She leaned back in her chair, crossed her legs, and said Marcus made her feel chosen. Then she gave me that line. "You're not man enough for me, John." Not angry, not loud, calm, casual, like she was returning a shirt that didn't fit. I wish I could tell you I stood tall and delivered some movie-worthy response. Truth is, I folded. My chest got hot, my ears rang, and for a second I thought I might throw up right there beside the fruit bowl we bought at Target our first year married. I asked why. It was a weak question, the kind pain asks when dignity leaves the room. Olivia laughed softly and said I was too soft, too loyal, too satisfied with too little. Marcus, she said, had ambition, swagger, presence. Then she looked around our apartment and said she was tired of living inside my smallness. Some words bruise after they land. Once that door was open, everybody who had been hiding behind it walked through. Miss Denise called me the next day, not to apologize for her daughter, but to say maybe this was a wake-up call for me as a man. Olivia's cousin posted shady quotes online about women outgrowing stagnant relationships. 2 mutual friends stopped answering my texts altogether. which told me they had known enough to choose sides early. Even Danelle, trying to be helpful, said maybe Olivia needed something I couldn't give. Imagine being set on fire and then advised to study the flames for personal growth. That week taught me how many people confuse cruelty with honesty. Then came the porch scene, the one that still visits me in ugly dreams. I had stopped by home after work with groceries, trying to pretend we could at least discuss lawyers and logistics like adults. Instead, I found Marcus outside our apartment, leaning against the railing in a fitted shirt that looked expensive in a loud way. Olivia opened the door behind him, saw me, and didn't flinch. She walked right up to him and kissed him with my keys still warm in her hand. I dropped the bags. A jar of pasta sauce shattered. Marcus smirked. Olivia looked at me like she had finally said something important without words. By the end of that week, she had done more than leave. She had stripped the place for parts. The joint checking account had almost nothing left in it. The bedroom set my uncle helped me buy was gone. The television disappeared. Even Malcolm, the crooked shelf we built laughing on the floor years ago, vanished like our jokes had equity. She texted me a spreadsheet of items she was entitled to and added a line about me needing to find male pride somewhere else. I slept that first night on an A mattress in a cheap Houston apartment borrowed from my cousin Terrence, listening to freeway noise and my own humiliation. Houston was supposed to be temporary, but pain has a way of extending leases. Terrence gave me a place to stay near Alif and exactly the right amount of pity, which is to say almost none. He was a clown in human form, the kind of man who could make a funeral laugh if you gave him 6 minutes and a decent audience. The first morning there, he walked in, saw me staring into instant oatmeal like it had insulted my bloodline, and said, "Brother, you look like a rejected gospel album." I laughed harder than I wanted to. It was the first sound out of me that didn't hurt. Healing did not arrive like sunlight. It came like chores. I woke up, went to Wyke, came home, studied for my supply chain certification, and tried not to check Olivia's social media. Sometimes I failed. She posted rooftop dinners, weekend trips, and captions about stepping into softness with a man who wore loafers without socks in every photo. Every image felt like another public execution, even though no one had tied me to the post but my own ego. I lost weight from stress. I stopped answering calls. I sat in Terrence's spare room with the lamp off, wondering how a person survives being made to feel fundamentally insufficient. The lowest point came one Sunday in a grocery store. A little girl reached for her father's hand in the cereal aisle, and something about that ordinary tenderness cracked me open. I abandoned my cart and sat in my car sweating, trying not to cry hard enough to scare the people parked beside me. That's the thing nobody tells men, especially black men. Heartbreak humiliates you physically. Your body doesn't care about your image. It shakes when it shakes. It folds when it folds. I finally admitted I needed help and started seeing a therapist in Southwest Houston who spoke plainly and refused to let me worship my own suffering. Therapy didn't make me noble. It made me honest. I had to admit I built too much of my identity around being needed. I had mistaken overgiving for love and silence for strength. My therapist, Dr. Harris, asked me one afternoon, "Why did Olivia's opinion become your mirror?" That question followed me home like a drumbeat. I started writing things down. What I liked, what I feared, what I tolerated that I should have walked away from years earlier. The work was private and unglamorous. No dramatic breakthroughs, no inspirational background music. Just me learning that self-respect and revenge are not cousins, no matter how often hurt men confuse them. Once I stopped performing grief for an invisible audience, my life got practical in the best way. I finished my certification, then another one. I landed an operations role with better pay at a logistics company in Dallas, and for the first time in years, my effort started building something instead of merely plugging leaks. I got my own one-bedroom place first, small and quiet and blessedly mine. I rebuilt my credit point by point, bill by bill. I cooked for myself, slept deeply, bought furniture slow. I even laughed in stores again. Peace turned out to be less glamorous than success online, but it fit my soul better. Somewhere in Dallas, I found pieces of myself Olivia had treated like defects. I joined a gym, not to get revenge abs, but because my body deserved better than carrying stress like furniture. I picked up old hobbies, read more, call my mother back regularly, started attending a small jazz night on Thursdays where nobody knew my history and nobody asked. One evening I met a bookseller named Maya who wore silver hoops and had the kind of laugh that made room for other people. We talked over coffee after the set, and when she teased me for alphabetizing spices, it felt light instead of dangerous. Healing had finally made romance possible again. Maya didn't save me, and that is exactly why she mattered. We moved carefully, two grown people with enough scars to recognize the price of pretending. Our dates were simple: bookstores in Bishop Arts, food trucks, a long walk around White Rock Lake, church fish fries where the elders judged everyone's shoes. Once, I tried to impress her by making shrimp and grits and somehow launched a shrimp clean across the kitchen. It hit the refrigerator and slid down with all the dignity of my first marriage. Maya laughed until she snorted, then kissed me with tears in her eyes. I hadn't realized how much I missed laughter without danger. Meanwhile, Karma was not asleep. I heard bits through the same grapevine that had failed me when honesty mattered. Marcus, the man with all that swagger Olivia praised, turned out to be less successful than advertised. He got caught up in a fraud investigation tied to expense accounts and vendor kickbacks at work. There were whispers, then resignations, then silence, which is corporate America's favorite funeral hymn. Once the money got funny, so did his loyalty. He vanished from Olivia's life with the efficiency of a man who had always been dating his own reflection. The woman who mocked my steadiness had built her future on a stage prop. Olivia still never showed remorse. That part stayed consistent, almost impressive in a twisted way. According to Terrence, who heard everything from everybody because he treated information like a side hustle, she blamed Marcus, her job, bad timing, fake friends, jealous people, and spiritual warfare. Notice who she never blamed: herself. She downsized fast, moved into a smaller place outside Houston, and started reaching sideways through relatives, hoping news of her struggles would travel back to me. It did. I didn't celebrate out loud. I just noticed something important. The pain she gave me had shaped me. The pain catching her was only exposing her. The message came on a quiet Tuesday night while I was in my kitchen marinating chicken and listening to old Anita Baker. My phone lit up with a number I hadn't saved but recognized immediately, the digital equivalent of a ghost tapping your shoulder. Olivia wrote, "I know it's been a while. I'd really like to talk. I've been doing a lot of thinking." No apology, no ownership, just a soft opening, like she was checking whether the old door still swung inward. At that exact moment, Maya walked in carrying peach cobbler from her aunt's house, kissed my cheek, and asked why I looked like I'd seen a tax bill from Satan. I showed Maya the message. She read it, raised one eyebrow, and said, "That woman has the confidence of a raccoon in daylight." I laughed so hard I had to lean on the counter. Then I turned the phone over and went back to seasoning the chicken. That was it. No speech. No dramatic text exchange. No thirst for closure dressed up as maturity. Later that night, after dinner and cobbler and a long, slow dance in my living room with the lights low, I deleted Olivia's message and blocked the number. My comeback wasn't louder words. It was a simple fact that her access to me had expired. Looking back, I understand the lesson better than I did when I was on that air mattress feeling discarded. Worth is not something another person grants you by staying, praising you, or choosing you over somebody else. Real worth gets built in private, inside decisions nobody claps for. Going to therapy, paying your bills, telling the truth, leaving what dishonors you, and learning to love without kneeling. Olivia called me not man enough because she needed my insecurity to excuse her betrayal. But peace proved what pride never could. The right people don't need you broken to feel big. And the sweetest karma is a healed life they can never re-enter. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.